Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the When We Were Kids, a Time Capsule Toys podcast, sponsored by, obviously, Time Capsule Toys and Monsters in the Toy Box. And don't forget to buy your tickets for Toy Ohio, June 21st. Our first guest we announced was Joel. I have a 10-pound filla and a taste like vanilla Gertner. He has about 9,000 catchphrases. I've wanted to meet Joel for a while, and got a hold of him on good old Twitter, X, whatever, and I had a 40-minute conversation with him about trying to convince him to come to Toy Ohio.
Well, sweet, you got him.
And I was like, "You're gonna wear your neck brace, right?" He's like, "Of course." He goes, "You gotta give the people what they want." So he's our first guest announcement. Next guest announcement comes maybe next month. I have to wait. I can't announce it yet, so I have to keep it top secret. I haven't told anybody yet. Stupid, but whatever. Gotta do what we gotta do. So as always, we're always talking about the stuff from when we were kids and stuff like that. And I literally made my show notes this morning. Don't even ask me how I thought of half this stuff, but I did. The one thing we never really talk about is video stores. Mm-hmm. Growing up, what was your go-to video store?
There were a couple. There was a mom and pop one that was in because I grew up in Columbiana. There was a mom and pop one that was in New Waterford, which was just a couple miles down from my parents' house where they lived in Columbiana, whatever, that we would go to. And then after that closed, I think we ended up going to, I do remember going through Blockbuster and all that in Boardman. Like that was a big one. I bought a bunch of DVDs and stuff.
Where
there
was
too.
Blockbuster at in Boardman?
Over by where Applebee's is, like in that area right there. That was a big one. We had I can't remember the name of the one. There was another one in Columbiana too that I don't remember I can't remember what it was though. It might have been a Blockbuster there too, but I can't. Yeah, those were the.
Well, my whole thing was I have a very familiar. I don't know how to describe it, but I grew up in a video store. A lot of people don't know that. My mom and my aunt owned a video store on Raccoon Road in Austintown called J&J Video. Mm. And so I literally spent my days in the back room of the video store because they were working, so I had nowhere else to go. So I was stuck in the back room of the video store. My cousin used to watch like horror movies there and everything else. I was like terrified. But they sold the store to... I don't know why I'll never forget the guy's name. His name was Rocky. And I guess he had a part in First Row Video. Mm-hmm. And my mom had to go to court over him. I don't remember why, but I swear they had to go to court over him. But yeah, so it was First Row Video for the longest time. And then what did they go to after that? It was like, what, Video Update?
Do you remember the video store up at
Movie Gallery?
I want to say it was up. I can't remember exactly where it was at. I want to say it was up near like Mineral Ridge or Cortland or somewhere in that area, whatever. But it was like I think it was called Flicks Video, but the sign looked like it said Fucks Video.
I remember Flicks Video, yes. But I think it was Mineral Ridge.
It was like a real big sign, and I was like, that looks like it does not look like the L and the I was like too close, so it was like it just looked like all right.
Yeah, I remember the sign, but I don't think I've ever actually got to go there.
I don't think I was ever in there, but yeah, just driving by.
Yeah, because growing up, when I lived in Cortland, our thing was we'd always go to First Row Video, which was the plaza that was like next door to Brothers Pizza. Mm. And that's where I would rent my video games. My parents would rent their VHS tapes and stuff like that. And then when we moved to Bezetta, I used to go to, I don't remember what it was called, but there's an Iana Zones there. It's a brick building, because I actually just drove past it the other day. And then right next to it was this little video store. And I can't remember what it was called for the life of me. But I do remember you couldn't, obviously, when I drive there, I was like 16. That's where I was renting like all my movies. Mm. And you couldn't rent anything that was rated R because I was only 16. So what I would do is I had my mom write me a note and I gave it to the people that worked there that said he has permission to rent any rated R movie he wants. because I wanted to see Orgasmo so bad. And that was probably one of my most rented movies was Orgasmo.
I remember Orgasmo.
I watched the hell out of that movie. And that Champion video store is where I always used to go. Because then there's a bunch of other video stores, mom and pops, that were still around when I was in my early 20s. Because I got to a point in my early 20s, I was buying and selling VHS tapes. So like I was driving around like everywhere to find mom, which this is so bizarre that a lot of those mom and pop places, to keep staying in business, they would be a video store and something else. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why in Ohio it was a video store and a tanning salon, which made no sense to me. But there was one over in oh my god, I can't remember what it was called. It's on the other side of Cortland. But they had a video store / tanning salon. That was like the first one I came across. So I'm like, this is so weird. Because I would buy tapes from there. And then the one I drove to was in Andover, up in Andover in that circle. I ran to a guy who bought a video store. He talked to me at Best Buy because I was looking at DVDs. Mm. And he goes, I bought this video store out. You buy tapes and stuff like that? I go, yeah. He goes, can you come see if there's anything that you want to buy? I'm like, okay, so I drove all the way out there. The guy had like nothing. All the promo stuff, he said the previous owner burned it. I'm like, oh my God. And then I walked out, I looked across the street, there was another video store called Andover Video. I went there, it was like so old school. It was like wood paneling and everything else. Walked up the steps and there was all the horror movies. And they had like the most obscure shit you can imagine. So the girl wouldn't let me buy anything. So I had to wait.
That was like the one in New Waterford was like that. Was like, I remember wood paneling and it was real small and tiny. And then there was another one in downtown Columbiana. It was right next to the post office. I can't remember what it was called though, but I remember renting video games and stuff from there all the time.
But I called that Monday. She told me to call, talk to the owner. And I was like, oh yeah, I buy VHS tapes. I saw you have a bunch of horror ones. Would you be willing to sell them? He goes, it depends on which ones you're looking at. I'm like Sledgehammer. Sledgehammer is like this. It's not a good movie. It's shot on video. They made parts of it slow motion to make it longer. And I was like, I want Sledgehammer. And the guy started laughing. I was like, oh God, he knows how much it's worth. He goes, yeah, I'd sell that. I go, what do you want for it? He goes, $2. I said, I'm on my way there. The first time I went there, I actually bought $40 worth of tapes because that was like all the money I had on me. But the crazy thing is, too, like I said, I collected VHS tapes, and now VHS tapes are coming back big time.
That's good. I have a ton of those. I have a bunch of those.
And it's crazy what, like when I was collecting, like Jaws and crap like that were worth nothing. And now people are paying money for them, which is mind-boggling to me. But crazier thing is, if you have sealed VHS tapes, people are getting them graded. And they sell for ridiculous money. Like, I did a house call, and I bought a bunch of sealed VHS tapes. It's like last year. I sold a copy of Close Encounters of the Third Kind for $100.
Jeez, oh man. I got to go through my videotapes here to see what the hell.
And I'm like, it was sealed. And I'm like, I didn't. So all these common ones are worth money now because if they're sealed, people want them. They get them graded and everything else, which I just think is mind-boggling. But like the obscure horror movies are still worth a bunch of money, which I sold my collection off many years ago when I thought it peaked. Yeah, it didn't peak then. I shot myself in the foot with that one. But yeah, tapes, like when you come to Ohio, there's a bunch of people selling tapes now, which is just crazy to me that like VHS is that hot.
I'm gonna have to pack up a box and bring it to Toy House. If anyone wants to buy this crap. Yeah, I got a bunch of VHS tapes. I gotta see all what I have. I bet you I have some that are sealed too that I probably just got and never watched because like by that time you probably had a DVD player by that point. You know, there was always that like I don't know if you had this. There was a period where you had both, where you had a DVD player and you still had a VCR set up, or you had the DVD combos. Or the combo TVs, whatever like that too. Yeah, I think we still have a combo TV in the attic too. That's a VCR TV combo, I believe.
Oh yeah, so, yeah. Those people pay money for those because they're always broken.
Yeah. Well, we had like 100 broken VCRs growing up too. It was like you go, it's like, why are we saving all these broken VCRs? Like, none of them work, but there was like 15 of them in the attic. Like, Dad, why do we still have these VCRs? Not one of them works.
Yeah, VCRs, especially if you have them sealed and stuff like that, some of them go for insane money because they stopped making them, I don't know how long ago. And people still have tapes. And there's certain things that never came to streaming or even DVD. So, so people still want them. So don't be throwing away your VHS tapes. Don't be throwing away your VCRs. People still want those stinking things. Speaking of VHS, their topic I wanted to bring up was cassette tapes. Because obviously,
I just sold a bunch of my cassette tapes.
Cassette tapes are hot again too.
I just sold pretty much all of them. I took them to Cycle Breakers inside Westside Bowl and sold a whole lot of them. Yeah, I had a couple that were valuable. I had a Sam Hain cassette that was worth like $30 or $40, and like a bunch of other like old like metal ones. Because remember Purple Frog Records? Yeah, I used to get cassettes from there all the time. Like when I had the cassette player in the car, so I'd always get the used cassettes there. So I had a giant, a couple like a big tote full of cassettes that I sold.
Do you remember the first cassette you ever bought?
Mm-hmm. I remember the first one that I got was I got a Walkman and I got AC/DC Who Made Who for Christmas from my grandma. That was like the first. It was the first AC/DC album I had. It was the first cassette that I was personally mine. Like my parents had some, whatever. They had like just random top 40, Whitney Houston, Huey Lewis,
I'll never forget
Genesis, like stuff like that.
The first cassette I ever got was like my best Christmas ever, and I got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles soundtrack. But it wasn't a good soundtrack.
Yeah,
like there's nothing on it, and I'm like. I got that. My sister got like New Kids on the Block and everything else.
The first one I bought with my own money was Huey Lewis and the News Sports. I bought that cassette from, I think, Best Buy when it still had like the big plastics thing that it came in.
There's a place over at Hermitage. I hate them. I don't suggest it for anyone to ever go there. It looks like an abandoned building. It's like catty corner from Walmart. And they still have cassettes and CDs in those big plastic things. Yeah, and they have them priced at what they originally priced at back in the day. But anything's priced in there, you can't buy it for that because she'll go look it up on eBay and sell it to you for whatever it's for on eBay.
Oh, yeah, or not.
What's like if you go look at their reviews, they have so many negative ones. Yeah. And I'm one of them because she had something marked like $1.99. She goes, I want $40 for it now. I'm like, she goes, it's too hard to change our prices. I'm like,
yeah, well, she just arbitrarily changed them anyway.
And I'm like, it's part of the job. But I also remember one of the second cassette tape I ever got was Tom Petty. What was the album that had Free Fallin' on it? Was it just called Free Fallin'?
I don't remember.
But that was I got that tape I believe I got that tape for my birthday from my aunt. And that was like the one cassette I had forever. And then coming up on Easter time, I don't know why I remember this. For Easter, I got a cassette single of Snow's Informer. And I was so ecstatic. But then I left it in the back window of the car and it melted. So then what I tried to do was I turned it over to try to melt it back into place. It didn't work.
My brother was big on the cassette singles. He used to buy those all the time. And yeah, he had several, whatever. I gave them all back to him. I made for his birthday, I gave him a gag gift where I took all the cassette singles and I stuck them all in a frame and gave them all back to him. Like he had he had whatever like the biggest rap stuff of the day he had, but then he also had like Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit. He had, there were a couple AC/DC ones. He had, like 9 Inch Nail. Like he was big on the cassette singles.
Like I didn't have that many cassettes. Like I think I had those 3, and then later on in life, I got a CD player.
I had several cassettes, yeah, but what a terrible medium that was because those things did not hold up, and they warped fast. Like the tape would warp. So inevitably, the tape deck would eat the tape or whatever. It was a garbage medium.
Yeah, I most of the time I got blank tapes and recorded stuff like off the radio, and I also was a big trying to record my own stuff, which was never good because I couldn't play any instruments or anything like that. Then I would try to do like talk radio sort of thing. I don't know what the hell I was doing as a kid.
Me and my friend,
I was trying to keep myself busy, I guess.
We used to think we were real handy when we hooked up. We would take like like music videos or like concert VHSs, and then we would bootleg them onto cassette. So we listened to them on cassette. It was like the biggest thing. Like, oh, we could hook up the VCR to the cassette and we could rip the audio off of it. It was like innovative.
One of my most ridiculous cassette stories was I thought movie soundtracks were just the audio from movies. So I tried to record all the audio from Wayne's World on my cassette tape so I could just listen to the movie. And it didn't work out very well because like the sound was awful. You couldn't hear anything. I'll never forget. I did that at my aunt's house. Like I held it up against the TV for like the whole movie. And then when like the tape clicked when there was over space, I had her hit and pause the VHS, pop tape out, flip tape over, record again. I was so excited, and then when I listened to it, all you heard was like, I'm like, oh god damn it!
I remember right when we had the internet pretty early, like mid '90s. I think we had internet. We had it before a lot of my friends and stuff did, but I remember I would do tape trades. It was just all AC/DC bootlegs on cassette. And so you would I'd get them, whatever. People would send them to you. Like there were people online that you'd send them a bunch of blank tapes and they would just send them back to you. They would just record and send them back to you, whatever. So I did that a bunch. I had all these bootleg sets of AC/DC shows and whatever the hell else. I was real big into that for a year or two.
Going back to VHS tapes, you just triggered a thought in my mind. Which a huge thing back today was tape trading for wrestling. So me and my friends used to do backyard wrestling. So I would swap tapes with other promotions that I met via the internet.
Yeah.
And it was just I'll never forget, this one kid actually built a ring. And I'm like, holy shit, they built a ring. But Jesus Christ, they were terrible. They were not allowed to do any moves off the rope. I'm like, what's the point of having a rope if you don't do anything with the ropes? But then one of the VHS tapes I got was ECW's Born to Be Wired, where the only match in the whole pay-per-view I even wanted was Terry Funk versus Sabu, where they replaced the ropes with wires, barbed wire.
Yeah.
And at the end of the match, you just hear Sabu say, "Get this shit off me!"
Yeah.
Because at the end of the match, they were stuck together in a ball. And I never forget, I think I got that off of eBay. And I was so excited. It just came on a blank VHS tape with handwritten Born to Be Wired 97 on it. And yeah, but tape trading was a huge thing. People we would swap tapes with kids in Tennessee and everywhere else. And I would be selling our backyard wrestling tapes.
I did the same thing with concert videos. Again, AC/DC, Metallica stuff, metal shows, whatever. And I remember one dude dubbed on... what porn did he dub? He dubbed a porn into it too, or he clipped it on the end of it. I don't know if it was the Paris Hilton porn back in the day, or it was whatever. But yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I put a porn on there for you too. All right, thanks, man.
I put a porn on there for you. But yeah, it was kids nowadays will never understand tape trading.
Yeah,
ever. Just going back and that just triggered that whole memory up for me.
Well, you couldn't get. I remember too doing it with music videos and stuff like that too, because you couldn't unless the band had a collection of videos that they put on a VHS, and most of them didn't. You would never see certain videos, or you never see whatever. So yeah, the same thing with wrestling or whatever else too. It's I'm never going to be able to see this unless I trade it with somebody or whatever. So yeah,
it was just nuts back in the day. Like I said, kids will never understand that. Now you have everything at your fingertips. And back then it was, you had to find that one person in hopes that they would send you what the hell you wanted.
Yep.
Because there was no PayPal. No. There was nothing. Sending someone money in an envelope in hopes that you get your Hardcore Heaven 97 or whatever else. But because it was just back then it was the Wild West of music and wrestling, bootleg, like you said, bootleg concerts and everything else.
Oh no, it was the Pam and Tommy Lee tape that he dubbed on the end of it. It wasn't. Paris Hilton came out later.
Yeah,
that wasn't early.
Oh, the Pam and Tommy Lee tape, one of the worst things ever made.
Yeah,
I think that's a boob. Nope, never mind, it's an elbow.
Well, speaking of back in that day, did you have of blurred porn? your cable channel, like when you had cable at first, did you have like the adult channel if you went to it and it was like all wavy, whatever? It's like, oh, I think that's a boob. You could hear the audio of people having sex, but it was like,
it was like, wiggly lines. Yeah. I didn't, but I think my uncle did.
Yeah, we had that at our
because my uncle also, that's how he'd watch wrestling pay-per-views.
Just blurry,
listening to the commentary. I'm like, why are you doing this?
I forgot that you could watch pay-per-views on it too. I do remember that, but I remember it was like, all right, well,
they're all blurry. Like you don't see anything. All you hear is commentary and the wiggly lines.
I'll sit there and try to see a blurry blue, but I'm not I'm not trying to watch wrestling like that.
Yeah, I'm just like, why is he doing this? And he'd be like, oh, this is pretty good. You can't see anything.
Oh yeah,
like back then, like back in the day of like pay-per-view and stuff like that. Like what I had was like HBO. And then you had to stay up late to see anything that had, like, side boob.
Mm.
So, like, God. I'm trying to think of the stuff that HBO used to play all the time. Like Jade and Sliver.
Mm.
And then you had to stay up real late to catch real sex.
Mm.
And you're like, I'm watching this terrible show about guys dressing up as dogs.
Yeah.
just so I can see a boob.
Right.
Or Taxi Cab Confessions. That's like all the crap I watched growing up, just to see a boob.
Yep. Yeah, you had to put in some work back then to see a boob. Like now, you know.
Yeah, now it's like here's $3.
Here's every hardcore porn you could ever want on your phone. Like,
and now
geez,
there's OnlyFans and everything else. Another thing that, sorry to sidetrack from side boobs and everything else. Growing up, like once again, kids nowadays have it. You have like a Switch. So you can play it on your TV or you can take it to go. You have amazing graphics and everything else. We grew up through the days of handheld games. Mm. Do you remember the first handheld system you ever had?
Handheld system or handheld game?
System.
System would have been Game Boy.
Okay, I had a Game Boy too. I never had any of the Tiger Electronic stuff. My neighbor Seth had all that, and I had
a lot of.
I had when he would come down to play on our swing set. That's the only time I got to play with it.
Yeah, I had the bowling. I had a bunch of Tiger Electronics. I had the bowling. I had the football. I still have. I rebought. There was a real Ghostbusters one that was just like a Space Invaders one where the ghosts come down and you do whatever. Like I actually rebought that, but I had that from growing up. And then there was I'm trying to think of the other ones that we had. Like there were some other random ones that didn't survive, whatever, but. Yeah, the Ghostbusters one I still have, and I had a couple wrestling ones. I rebought one of those. There was like an Acclaim one with Hogan and Andre fighting each other, whatever. That was like a, Yeah.
Do you remember? So you got Game Boy. Do you remember when you got it? I know I got mine for Christmas.
I think I got mine for Christmas.
It may have been the year it came out.
I got it. It was later on in its life that I got it. Like I was probably almost in high school by the time I got a Game Boy. So yeah, it was later on, but I think it was a Christmas gift too.
Because I think I'm almost positive mine came with like Tetris.
Because I got that, and I got with it. My parents bought me one of the Ren and Stimpy games they bought for me because I was running Ren and Stimpy, and the game was hard. I couldn't get past the first level; it was so hard. Whatever that was.
That's what I was going to mention. Is why was every single Game Boy game goddamn impossible?
A lot of them were. Well, there was 2 Ren and Stimpy games for the Game Boy that I remember having. The first one was impossible. Like it took so long to get through the first level. It was so hard to beat the first. Like it was like, all right, I can't play this anymore. And then they put out another one that was actually incredibly easy. You could beat it. It was like, oh, what, I think they got the memo. Everything was.
I'm almost positive I had Tetris. Mine might have came with Tetris. I also had Super Mario Land 2, I believe it was.
I remember playing Madden on Game Boy, which was terrible, but I remember playing it all the time because it was like, oh, I have a Madden game, even though it was just...
One of the hardest games that I had for my Game Boy was Bart versus the Juggernauts. That game was impossible. You could not get past the first level. It was awful. It made me so mad. And then I got Mortal Kombat for Game Boy, and once again... super freaking hard. Like I couldn't beat anybody. I got so irritated. But Mortal Kombat for like Sega was like super easy. I don't know why they made everything for Game Boy so goddamn hard. Oh, and then a really fun game I had for Game Boy, which I think is a very underrated franchise, was Kirby's Dream Land.
Mm-hmm.
I played the hell out of that game for Game Boy. I just think Kirby's underrated.
Kirby gets some love though. Like I think people still like Kirby because that was a fun game, especially for the NES and stuff too. I hear people talk about that one a lot. I don't think I didn't have any of them. I played them, but I never had them myself.
Yeah, I know they put one out for Switch. I think Super Nintendo. I don't know if they ever had one for Wii or not, but I don't know, I loved Kirby. I think I enjoyed Kirby more than Super Mario.
Kirby came kind of late in the life of the NES and Game Boy though too. Like they were already on to 16-bit stuff, whatever, and getting past it, whatever. So Kirby was if Kirby come out like a year or two earlier, it probably would have been way bigger than it was.
Did you have any other handheld systems as a kid? Do you remember?
No, I remember my cousins had Game Gear, and I thought I was like, this is unbelievable. And I remember they had Joe Montana football on there, right? And I'm thinking this is like the greatest thing ever. I went back and tried to play that on my emulator, and I'm like, this is terrible. This is like barely playable. Like, why did I like this so much as a kid? But I loved it as a kid.
Game Gear was like, as a kid, Game Gear was like revolutionary. Mm-hmm. Because like the second Game Gear came out, no one wanted their freaking Game Boy anymore.
No, it looked so much better, and it came with the Sonic game too. That was actually good. Like all those Sonic games were good, so it was like, it came with a really good game too. It's like, this just blows everything on Game Boy away.
Yeah, because then they released Game Boy Color, which was whatever. And then they did Game Boy Advance, then Game Boy Advance SP.
Yeah, I was out of it. I didn't have any other. I never got another. Game Boy was the only handheld like system that I had, and I stupidly just threw all the games away. I don't know, not that long ago even that I threw them away. Like I should have known. These are. I could probably just sell all these for at least something. You know what I mean? Not just huck them in the trash. I did that with a couple NES games. So I was like, why did you do that, you idiot? Like, this box has been sitting here forever. I don't need it anymore. Just
my aunt bought me a game for Game Boy. It was something stupid. It was like one of those cheap, like $10 bin games. I remember I went and traded into, what was it called, like Game Exchange or Video Game Trader, I think that's what it was called. It was over there in Niles, where the coin shop is now.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get so much money for this game. Like, $5. I'm like, what?
You're right. Yeah.
I'm like, $5? What the hell am I supposed to get with that?
I remember playing a lot on, all the wrestling games were bad for NES and or Game Boy, and for a long time even after that yet too, but I had King of the Ring for Game Boy, which was it was the most god-awful wrestling game. You could only do like 2 moves. The guys barely even looked like the guys. I was like, what? Like, but I just played the hell out of it because I didn't have anything else. So I was like, all right, I guess this is all right. It was, what a garbage game that was.
I didn't play any wrestling game. I didn't have any wrestling games for Game Boy. Not even for Nintendo growing up. I did not get a wrestling game until the year I got my PlayStation. And I had WWF Attitude. I was so excited. And Jesus Christ, that game was fucking terrible. It was so bad.
Almost all wrestling games were like
we had a bunch they didn't get good until the N64.
Yeah, they didn't at all. Like the NES, I remember first getting the WrestleMania game. I remember playing the hell out of that and being able to there was a glitch that if you were how to beat it, whatever, like if you just ran the ropes and jumped or whatever, eventually the guys would chase after you. There was like a glitch that they would just do it, so that's how you could beat the game. Because otherwise, if you had to actually just beat it, you couldn't beat Hogan or Andre. They just kicked the shit out of you. But after that, they came out with, there was one game on there that was okay. It was WrestleMania Challenge, I believe, was the next one.
Okay.
Where it had like the ring and but it had the character, like some of the guys actually had their moves and stuff, whatever. Like that one was all right. But then I remember getting Steel Cage Challenge, I think it was god awful. All you could do was stomp and then even like you throw the guy down, right? And then you're supposed to like do an elbow drop on him. Well, when you did the elbow drop, you missed him every time. Like it never hit. So it was the slowest moving game, the biggest hunk of crap ever. Like that's got to be the worst wrestling game of all time. There was some asshole online that was reviewing, this one's pretty good. I'm like, what?
Dude,
Unsubscribe, block. No, that offended me.
So the best wrestling games that came out had to have been. Well, we had so many bad ones leading up to that, and then N64 came around, and there was, what was it, WrestleMania 2000, I believe it was, which was like the pinnacle of wrestling games, and you're like, oh my god, this game's amazing, because like literally you could do your creative character was insane. You could do everything, and then after that, I believe it was No Mercy. So No Mercy, like. Somehow they took WrestleMania 2000 and made it like way better. Me and my friends used to make our own guys on there all the time. And like you could create your own taunts, your own Titantron. Like you can take someone's Titantron and just like say for example, Shawn Michaels. You take Shawn Michaels' Titantron and put like the Dudley Boys music to it with like Kane's Pyro or whatever. I don't even think Kane was around back then. I can't remember. But I think he was. But you could do all that, and it was just like then you could actually make your own pay-per-views. So we would do this like every Saturday night with us having our own pay-per-view with our own creative characters and shit like that. It was so much fun. And then like the PS2 ones were like kind of okay. But like
we did something similar what my buddy and I did with that WrestleMania challenge because you could be as like a tag team and be on the same team together. And so like what you could do is you would take the other, like one guy could fight on the outside where the other guy fought on the inside at the same time, which was like amazing to us at the time for NES, you know what I mean? That whatever. But I remember doing that a lot and getting together. The good games because I didn't play any games after. I didn't, like as far as 16-bit and later and all that, like I didn't play any wrestling games beyond the NES, whatever. The ones that were good, obviously, were like pro wrestling, Tecmo wrestling was pretty good. Tag team wrestling wasn't bad. Like those were all okay, but yeah, like,
everyone would always rave about
terrible.
Everyone would always rave about Firestorm Pro Wrestling, but I never had it.
I never played it.
And everyone's like, "Oh my god, you could be like anybody!" Like it's insane. Then I will never forget when the Xbox came out. You want to talk about bad and hard wrestling games? Raw. For Xbox.
All those games look so awful when they first did because they're like, oh yeah, it's like a 3D thing, but it was just like, yeah, it's 3D, but they're all like square blocks. I was like, everything looked better before. Like when everything went to like the first person games, everything like that first wave. Like I thought all that was. I was like, everybody would rave about it. And I'd be like, this is terrible. Dude, this looks so bad. I can't.
Raw for Xbox
N64
was the
terrible.
Worst wrestling game I've ever played in my life. So you could pick anybody. And the whole concept of the game was you had to beat 10 guys in a row. Like, you'd have one match, you'd win, and then, like, oh, you won, blah, 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 on to the next guy. You had to beat, like, 10 dudes in a row to become champion. But the problem was you couldn't beat anybody. Because the game was too hard. And so I got it. I was playing it. I'm like, this is terrible. I can't win. I can't get past the first person. Then I realized what I had to do. You had to create your own person, and you had to make them, like, ridiculous. So I'm like, well, if I'm going to make this guy ridiculous, I'm making him ridiculous. I made this guy, I maxed him out in height and weight. So no one could pick him up. And he wore a giant cat hands and a giant cat head. And he was like neon pink and his name was Big Pussy. And that was the only time I ever got to beat the game. And I'm like, that's really what you have to do. You have to create a guy that literally they cannot pick up. So the next time I did it, I made like this super short, big fat guy that had like a long, like I made all my guys look ridiculous. He almost looked like Kamala. But I made him the shortest height you could make him and the fattest. So he just looked like a giant blob. And he had a giant, long-ass nose. And no one could pick him up. And no one could bend down to get him either. So that was how I was like, this is stupid. And I sold my Xbox.
I just remember wanting all those wrestling games to be like, and I can't remember what it was called, but the arcade ones, it's like WrestleFest or whatever, like where it was the WWF guys, whatever, but like those always looked great. Like in the arcade, I was like, oh, this looks so cool, and it was, you know what I mean? But yeah, I always wanted the games for NES or anything to look like that, or even after that, like PlayStation. Like I wanted them to look like that, and none of them ever did. It was always just like, yeah.
Some of the worst games, I think, for wrestling were those WCW ones.
Mm-hmm. There were some bad ones, yeah.
Like Backstage Brawl.
Yeah, some of those for Super Nintendo and stuff like that. I remember
I think Backstage
playing it at a
Brawl
friend's house. I was like, this is
was for N64, and you were never in the ring. Mm-hmm. You were only backstage fighting. I'm like, this is so stupid. Yeah. Everyone's like, but it's backstage. It's awesome. I'm like, you don't get to go to the ring. There's no entrances. Like, it was awful. I hated it so much.
They did one of those WWF games where they just made it like Mortal Kombat. Remember, like that one? I can't remember which one it was. It was for, I think it was Super Nintendo. It might have been even later, but like, yeah, they just made them like Mortal Kombat style game. Whoever made Mortal Kombat did a WWF game, and so they're all doing like crazy stuff and shooting stuff out of their hands. Like, this isn't wrestling. This is Mortal Kombat with these guys. Yeah,
I never knew that. I wonder what game it was.
Yeah, somebody out there will know for sure. If we were doing this live, somebody would be chiming in, right?
Screaming at us by now.
Right.
But yeah, wrestling games, I mean, they're better now. Now I'm seeing people post stuff like you could create your own arenas. Mm-hmm. There's people doing like Penta, Ethan Page, Ricky Starks, like Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson, all in that new Raw game. I'm just like, that's like, now it's, before it was you had to go through and literally create the person detail by detail. Now it's just like, you go in and you type in a hashtag and you get it. It made stuff too easy now.
Yeah, I haven't played
anything. Kids don't know the struggle. New, right? I don't even have a system anymore. I'm old. I can't play video games.
Yeah, I haven't. If it's not like if I'm not playing on something from youth on the emulator or whatever, I'm not playing it. You know what I mean?
So it's that time again. It's time for the everyone's favorite segment of there was toys for that. This one I've always talked about for the longest time. I was finally able to get some. And I'm telling you right now, Monsters in the Toy Box has a shit ton of these figures now because I found a guy who had a ton of them. Demolition Man.
Oh, boy.
I will tell you this. I watched the movie. My girlfriend got up and walked out during the movie was playing. It's not that bad. But I remember it being way better.
I remember seeing parts of it back in the day, and I know the movie and stuff, but I just for whatever I did, I haven't seen it in years and years, or even parts of whatever.
It's what's his face? I was calling him Simon Phoenix. That's his name in the movie. Wesley Snipes is so cartoony and ridiculous in the movie. Like Sylvester Stallone's like Sylvester Stallone. Wesley Snipes is like acts like he's a cartoon character. But there are 4 John Spartan figures in the line out of 7 figures.
Well, they really didn't figure nobody was buying anything
There's
but John
2
Spartan.
Simon Phoenix figures. There is some dude called Battle Hook Friendly, which I have 0 clue at all what he is, and a dude called Cryo Claw Tech. They took the Bola Jet from New Adventures of He-Man. Mm-hmm. That's what the vehicle was called in New Adventures of He-Man. They completely just changed the color, didn't even change the name, and still called it the Bola Jet. It's not in the movie. The Fast Blast 442 car, I don't believe is in the movie. But then I found out that they had their own Nerf guns, which I want really badly, and I'm probably never gonna find them. But these were made by Mattel, and Mattel. I mean, the Sylvester Stallone figure, it actually looks like Stallone.
Yeah, it does.
Now, the Simon Phoenix figure, I don't think really looks like him at all.
It's like Dennis Rodman.
It does. It does 1,000%. It looks just like Dennis Rodman. like they must have. I don't know. Maybe they had a Rodman figure in the line, and they're like, "Oh, we'll just use that," or in a different line. But the fact that they made so many of these figures for a rated R movie is just mind-boggling to me. And the fact that they felt they needed like 4 John Spartans. So you have John Spartan in yellow t-shirt, John Spartan in a white t-shirt, John Spartan in battle baton gear, and then combat cannon John Spartan.
Well, they were really proud of that. The mold they made of Sylvester Stallone's heads, they wanted to use it multiple times.
That they did. That like he basically has like no neck either. It's just like chin to shoulders. Yeah. But like, it's not a very good it's not a good toy line. That for some reason their hands, which I just now noticed, their hands have giant squares.
I mean, is that where I take it the weapons go in there?
Yeah, but they're like giant squared hands,
yeah.
Where it looks like, look how thin his hands are.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Wait a minute. Look at that. If you look at the picture, the thing's up on his shoulder. Why does he have the big old square hand if he's not even holding it?
Yeah, I don't know why that. I was looking at that earlier, and that gun looks abnormally large over his shoulder too. But yeah, I'm not sure why the hell they did that either.
But like the weapons are like terrible.
Limited edition movie poster offer.
I'm sorry to tell you, it's probably no longer good. But the weapons are awful. I love how it promotes fits in hand. Well, I hope it fit in his hand. Yeah, right. Make the hole big enough.
Yeah.
They're just not. I mean, it's ridiculous that they made them. But my whole thing is this. Why didn't they give us the three shells set? Do you remember the 3 shells?
Mm-mm.
It's how you had to go to the bathroom.
I don't remember.
He walked into the bathroom. He goes, He's like, I have to take a shit. He goes, the only thing in there is 3 shells. And what's his face? That's in like every freaking Adam Sandler movie. I can't remember his name. The You Can Do It guy.
Rob Schneider.
Yeah, Rob Schneider goes, he doesn't know about the 3 shells.
Oh,
so
okay.
Like,
I forgot he was in that movie.
And then so he's like, what the hell am I supposed to do? And then the thing prints out a ticket for him because he swore, and there's no swearing in the future. So he walks up to the thing, he's just like, shit, piss, fuck, and he just starts printing out all these tickets so he can wipe his ass.
Jeez,
I'm like, well, they should have gave us the 3 seashells set so we knew what the hell. Because I was like, the only memorable things from that movie besides Simon Phoenix being just so cartoony, and then Stallone being Stallone, is we never find out about 3 seashells. Because the last line in the movie is like, maybe you can explain to me 3 seashells. And then, the only food in the future is like Taco Bell. So Taco Bell got
big product
Demolition Man,
yeah,
and they got Congo. They picked their choices. But there was toys for that. Rated R gem that I thought was like the greatest 90s action movie ever, and I rewatched it. I'm like, it's not as good as I remember. Like, I thought it was awesome. Not anymore. But here's a new thing I want to do, because it was just a special day. I think the special day was yesterday. No, it wasn't yesterday. Today's what? Thursday? What's today? Friday?
Thursday.
Say Thursday? God, I don't even know what day it is. So Tuesday was a special day in pop culture, which I'll get to that in a second. But I want to do a new segment called 90s Movies Battle. I'm going to give 2 movies. You have to tell me which one's better.
Okay.
Clueless versus Empire Records.
I mean, I've seen both of the movies. I haven't seen either one of them in a very long time. I'll probably go Empire Records.
Well, that's the correct answer.
Yeah. I mean, because Clueless was just,
Clueless was good.
Yeah.
Like, it was like the pinnacle, like, 90s, like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, it was pretty much like the pinnacle 90s girls movie.
Yeah.
To where every girl wanted to be Cher.
Mm.
But then there was Empire Records, which all of us wanted to be like, man, I want to work in a goddamn record store. Well, Tuesday was Rex Manning Day. So, Empire Records has like the greatest soundtrack ever for any movie. Clueless' soundtrack is actually pretty good too, but I also vote for Empire Records. Empire Records is like one of my favorite movies ever. There's so many good quotes in that movie. A lot of those guys went on to do nothing.
Right.
Some of them went on to do something. Ethan Embry's awesome. I met him a couple years ago. Liv Tyler, Lord of the Rings. I don't even know what else she did after that.
I think she kind of quit after that, didn't she?
Like, she did her dad's music videos.
Right. Yeah. Everybody thought Dad was creepy for putting Liv Tyler with Alicia Silverstone in those videos. Like, why's your daughter dancing around all provocatively in your videos?
Joe went on to be in was it Criminal Minds?
I think so. Yeah.
And then Lucas went on to do something. I forget what show he was on. The girl from the Craft. I don't know anyone's names. It's the girl or the guy. Or they're just there. And there's Coyote Shivers, the greatest name ever. Mm-hmm. With the greatest song ever, Sugar High. Oh, Renee Zellweger went on to butcher her face.
Yeah, that she did.
But we always want to know whatever happened to Warren, the kid who stole.
Yeah.
He probably went on to do nothing else. But, what's the guy who was in Clueless?
Paul Rudd.
I forgot Paul Rudd was in that movie. Paul Rudd, and who's the guy who had the long hair? He was like, oh my God. He was like the grunge kid.
I know you're talking about, and I can't, but yeah.
He went on to do a bunch of stuff too, but Empire Records wins the 90s movie battle because it had everything. It had record stores. It had bands playing on top of roofs. It had Guar. It had How Not to Steal Music and how you never steal Whitney Houston CDs and then just don't say, it's from a girlfriend. Sure it is. We're always known for talking about food. So I have 3 weird food things to bring up. Let's see if you remember any of them. I have a candy, I have a condiment, and a drink.
Okay.
Candy, Melody Pops.
Melody Pops.
The suckers that were whistles.
Oh, okay. I remember those. Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember not having those very often, or if maybe one. I do remember them, though. I think I maybe had that once. Melody Pops, yeah.
Yeah, I remember getting them. I'm not a big sucker person, but I just remember just wanting them so I could play them. And I don't even know where we'd even get them from. But we would randomly get them, and I'd be like, yeah! I'd act like I was like Kenny G with a sucker. But I forgot all about them until I started researching stuff. I was like, holy shit, Melody Pops. Which I think Melody Pops probably went out of business.
Well, I'm sure they did.
Mainly due to parents saying, we're not buying you musical candy.
Right.
All right, it's time for the condiment. Heinz Easy Squirts.
I don't remember that. What was Heinz Easy Squirts?
It was ketchup for kids that was in different colors.
Okay.
But was supposed to taste like ketchup. Like normal ketchup. But it'd be like green, purple, and oddball colors like that. But it's supposed to taste like normal ketchup. I refuse to eat it because I have this weird thing about how if whatever I'm going to eat, it has to look like how it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Like if someone made me, for example, cupcakes that look like cheeseburgers, I couldn't eat it because it freaked me out because like I bite into it expecting it to be a hamburger and it's clearly not. but Heinz Easy Squirts, because they were like purple and green ketchup. And I'm like, no, because
Yeah, I don't remember.
there's no way in hell that purple ketchup was going to taste like normal ketchup.
Yeah, I don't. I remember the colored ketchup at some point, but yeah, I don't remember it being Easy Squirt or like that branding though. Yeah, that was new to me.
But I want someone to comment on this video if you ever ate Heinz Easy Squirts, and I want you to tell me that it actually tasted like what normal ketchup tastes like, because I don't believe it at all. Because like I just have flashbacks to Do you remember Steel Trolley Diner?
Yeah.
All right, Steel Trolley Diner. Went there once. I got some. Their
Where
food.
was that at?
Columbiana, I think. I might be wrong. It's out that way, I
I
think.
don't remember. Yeah, I don't.
But two things about that place. Number one, they would stamp their buttons with STD, which you should never do.
Yeah, right.
Two, I got a blueberry barbecue sauce from there. Because I'm like, I'll try some. First off, those hamburgers were fucking disgusting. They were so gross. That barbecue sauce was so nasty. It looked like, instead of blueberries, it looked like rat shit. It was so gross. And it was purple. And I'm like, no barbecue sauce. Yeah, barbecue sauce should be purple.
Yeah.
That stuff was nasty. And that's what I just thought of when I thought of Heinz Easy Squirts, was that nasty barbecue sauce that, no joke, like a month after I ate there, they closed. Like froze the hamburgers, everything was just gross. Gross. A very popular drink, which I'm sure if we go around to like abandoned malls or whatever, they're still gonna have the pop machines for there. Is Fruitopia.
I remember Fruitopia. I think we had a Fruitopia machine in my high school, I believe, or middle school, I think. I do remember drinking Fruitopia a lot.
What was your go-to flavor?
I don't remember.
I just remember
I'd have to
the
look
red
at the flavors. I had to look at the flavors, but yeah,
I just remember like the fruit punch one or whatever there was.
I remember having it a lot. Yeah, I remember having it with like middle school lunch, I think. And yeah, I seem to remember having it. I think they had a Fruitopia machine at the golf. I was in a golf league when I was like in middle school. I think they had a machine there too. It was like, oh, I get a Fruitopia. Like so, yeah.
It's just nuts to me, like that like certain drinks like that had their own machine, and now they're just completely gone. Like there's still Pepsi machines, Coke machines, you know what I mean? But like Fruitopia, gone from existence. But I'm sure there's an abandoned mall somewhere that has a Fruitopia machine.
I remember we had a Hawaiian Punch machine too when I was in middle school. There was a Hawaiian Punch. I guess I'd get a Hawaiian Punch every day.
Those are commercials I miss. That little guy that looked like he was wearing antlers on his head and punching people.
Yeah, right.
Do they still make Hawaiian Punch?
I think they do, yeah. I think so.
They still make Tang?
They still make Tang. I know that I know they still make Tang for sure.
The one thing I will always associate with Tang is Married to Children. Because they would make Tang sandwiches. Yeah. And they'd pick it up, all the dust would fall out. Oh, my God. Someone track us down a bottle of Fruitopia so we could try it.
Yeah.
Just make sure it's still liquefied.
Yeah, I don't know how much juice was actually in Fruitopia. I don't think it was much. I think it was
any.
It might have been like 2 or 3%. We're like, there's something in there. It was mostly just sugar water.
I don't remember ever drinking, but I will always remember the machines.
The machines was super colorful, I remember, too. Yeah.
They made them look like psychedelic, pretty much.
Fruitopia and donut sticks. That was my lunch for years.
Who made the donut sticks?
I can't remember. It wasn't like Hostess or anything like that. I think it might have been some generic thing that my school had or whatever.
Nichols donut sticks.
2 donut sticks and then a can of Fruitopia or Hawaiian Punch, whatever. I'd be just like you eat that for lunch and then like you wonder why like I get home at like 2:45. He's just absolutely like I gotta go to sleep like just because the giant sugar crash from eating all the sugar for lunch.
Oh my God. So someone tracked down some donut sticks for BJ.
Yeah,
And then track me down a nice, cool, refreshing Fruitopia. But that is it for us this time around. Thank you, everyone, tuning in and checking us out. Make sure to follow us on social media. Make sure to follow Young Sound Studios on social media. And we shall see you all next time. Peace.